Hi everyone. So I'd just like to talk to you about some dream intel that I received last night. So before I went to bed, someone sent me on my Telegram group. It was a flyer for advertising a festival, and this festival is in the UK, and it's somewhere in July. Don't know where. And this festival actually said on the flyer that this is a Maxine won't be invited to the festival. And as far as the person who posted this flyer knew, that other festivals in the UK, Maxine would be invited, but Maxine won't be invited to this one. And somebody had written on my Telegram feed, Magenta, you were right. There will be places that we can go where Maxine isn't invited, which is something I've been saying for a long time. So that was the last thing I looked at before I sort of got tired and went to sleep, and then had this dream that was one of those dreams that was giving intel, like downloads, like you're seeing something tangible, something real, and you're shown how it evolves. And I've picked up a lot of information this way. It wasn't necessarily a lucid dream or even an out of body experience, but it was a dream I know was giving me intel related to the trigger point, the catalyst, which was the flyer that was posted on my Telegram feed. So what this dream was showing me is how things are going to move forward in this new Earth capacity as we move forward in the next coming weeks and months. And it sort of brought clarification to me as to how these metaphoric presentations that the Nine have been talking about for many years, the two worlds split, two Earths, the old Earth and the new Earth, the old Earth falling away and new Earth remaining, or some of humanity remaining in old Earth and some of humanity going to new Earth, or the whole 3D, 5D presentation. So there's the third dimension, the fifth dimension, and some will stay in 3D and some will go in 5D, or some individuals will stay within a fifth dimensional reality and go with the Earth, and other individuals will reincarnate back onto another 3D planet. All of these metaphors that have been spoken about, not just by me, information that I've received from the Nine, but other spiritual psychic individuals and channels and other spiritual teachers, they've said similar things and spoken about similar metaphors. So it suddenly sort of dawned on me when I woke up this morning after seeing this dream, and it feels as though I've been dreaming all night long. If you are connected in this way, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It feels as though I've been dreaming all night and been given this huge, epic bit of information or insight or an epic. It's almost like a film, a movie being shown to you from start to finish, or the script of a book or something. And you know that it's a different kind of dream to a jumbled mass of thoughts. It's actually a cohesive piece of information that the subconscious mind has sorted, and in conjunction with the superconscious mind, the higher aspect, higher self, higher guidance system, has delivered to you this presentation as the most likely scenario. And it can be triggered from seeing someone in the day, something happening in the day, a piece of music, a crystal, your state of health. If you're very, very tired, if you're not well, you can have very profound dreams, and it can be triggered by something you saw late at night or your last thought before you go to sleep. And as I said, the last thing I saw was this advertisement for a festival in the summer of the UK where Maxine is not invited. So it dawned on me how these metaphoric presentations of old Earth, new Earth would manifest in a physical reality. And what I saw in the dream, what I was experiencing, were these two demographics of humanity on this one planet, living side by side, seeing one another, being in the same building, being in the same room, and yet I could see the old Earth and the new Earth there within this demographic of humanity and within the structures. So what I was being shown here is that, you know, old Earth and new Earth, they are manifestations of consciousness, manifestations of intention. There are many different words that you can give to these different consciousness presentations, like 3D, 5D, or the WNO as one, new Earth as the other, because the intentions are coming in from different groups with different spiritual leanings and different energies. So how this looked like it was going is new Earth begins to manifest in different ways. Now, I was seeing the country which I perceived to be America in the dream, and then I was seeing the UK, and I often do see the UK because I live here, and America because it's the sort of middle central focus for this movement. So in America, it was kind of like the different sections of the country, as in states, which the 9 call domains. The different states having different rules, if you will, different laws. And there were some of these states that were opening up and were not having restrictions. And then there were these other states that were remaining within a restriction, depending on the laws, depending on the governors, depending on whether this is coming in from one stream or the other stream, one being the WNO and the other one New Earth. So this was starting off in these sections, but not entirely, because it was overlapping because of the demographic of humanity. For example, there were some individuals in the open states saying to themselves, this isn't right, this is too quick, this isn't being cautious, we have to worry about pathogenic situations, we have to be compliant with restriction in order to protect ourselves. I don't want to live in this open state that is not being cautious enough. I would rather live over here where we're in a more of a downlock situation. And then you have people over in those states that were, I don't want to be in a downlock. I know the situation. I understand that this is not as it's being presented, and I would like to move over to an open state. So you had these people in the dream sort of crossing over. Some people were staying in the state that didn't necessarily align with their values, but they were still managing to connect with that New Earth network and New Earth consciousness in some way, and find this you know, freedom, which isn't freedom as in lack of restriction. It was freedom within paradigm, within thought, within knowing. So this was kind of how the US was working, and some people did actually move in the future as we go forward and actually go to a different state where the rules are more in alignment with their own philosophies. But what it showed me was old Earth and new Earth, like this bifurcation, this separation between those who think in the old ways and those who think in the new ways. And over in the UK, it was different because obviously there's no states. There wasn't a division, particularly with areas. There's always been a north-south divide in the UK in one way or another, and that was sort of mildly manifesting, but it was more like the network of consciousness, as in there are these places that spring up that are new and shiny and technological with lots and lots of like what the 9 call bells and whistles. So what I was seeing in the dream are all these shiny things, and everybody wanted them. And it was related to technology, new advancements, new centers, new places that was going along in a technological evolution in a very fast way. But in order to access these shiny places, these new places, one would need to have Maxine invited to go along with you. So you would need to go in with Maxine, and Maxine keeps paperwork in her handbag, in her purse. You would need to actually have a purse as well that contains the same paperwork that Maxine has, and you would be potentially be taking in paperwork or some kind of debit card or credit card or ID card or something, possibly something on your phone. But it would all be Maxine would have given you this, and you'd need to have Maxine with you, and she would need to be invited into these places. So that was sort of one setup, and lots of people were very excited about these new shiny places because they're just so cool and they're offering all this new stuff. And the people were like, well, what's the problem? You only need to take Maxine with you. She's fine. Maxine is good. Maxine is the key to freedom. Let's take Maxine with us into these new places that are big and shiny, and they've got all this great stuff. So I didn't necessarily see what they were, but they were sort of like entertainment and social places, social buildings, like, places where you can meet community. And this would translate to, big shops and theaters and cinemas and restaurants and these new places, all made in a new, different way. So that's one aspect to this bifurcation, to this split. And then there's this other consciousness running alongside. And these places are potentially right next door and potentially even in the same building. And these places they don't have these bells and whistles and this new technological advancement. They're more natural, organic. They're more sort of to do with nature, a lot outdoors, lots of trees. There's lots of creativity there, lots of music and art and a lot of connection. But to those in the old Earth system, the technological advancement, bells and whistles, to those individuals, they would look over and see this and think, why would you even want to go there? Why would you want to be there in this place or with these people or in this consciousness? Because it's got nothing. It's like it's almost as though there are these things that are taken for the old Earth, this technological advancement, and they can have this and they can have this and they can have this. But those people, because they don't go out for dinner with Maxine, they don't invite Maxine for tea, they don't carry a purse or a handbag with any of Maxine's photographs and paperwork. So those people can't have this, this, and this. They can only have these things, which are not as good. And so they're allowed to have these things, but they're not the things that would entice people. Most people would not want those things because they're like old and boring and old-fashioned, and they don't do anything, and they're sort of in the past. They're the old ways, and we've moved forward now in this technological presentation. But what there is in this new Earth system with all of these things that the new Earth individuals and places and consciousness are allowed to have, if you will, and it's not really allowed isn't the right word. Within this structure is high creativity. Within the old Earth structure with the new technological advancement, there is a using of facilities that are, to those people, exciting and important, and that they would be devastated and very unhappy without those things. But there isn't any creativity there. It's just using the social system, the structure, the setup. But in the older reality that is New Earth, there's an abundance of creativity, art, music, writing, innovation, ideas that's flourishing. So these things that look like they're old-fashioned and really sort of not very good compared to all this new stuff, these things are taken and they're taken in their original form, and they are created in some new innovative way. It's difficult because I don't see what they are, and they represent so much. It's not just one thing. I'm looking here at a manifestation of energy through the technicolor presentation of this dream intel and my interpretation of the dream intel. So these things are taken and new creations are made, that new innovations. So basically, let's give an actual physical example. This could be the difference between a 5-story brand new building with cameras and really expensive tables and chairs and big bars with mirrors and all this great looking stuff, and a church hall with a couple of wooden tables and a few chairs and maybe a box. This is kind of an example. But in this flashy building, there's no creativity. It's just like, well, why do we need creativity? We've got the bar, we've got the mirrors, we've got these beautiful furniture and these mock plants and these this technology, and how this theatre mingles with cinema to present this fantastic piece of entertainment. So creativity is occurring from those who make the system, but not those who use the system, because they're utilizing something that's already made and they love it because it's stimulating, and it's lower chakra energy, base, sacral, and solar plexus. Those 3 lower chakra energies are there. And then you've got, like, a church hall or any hall with wooden tables, wooden chairs, but the people there are higher chakra people. We have heart, throat, and the crown chakra activated, and there's creativity, ideas, philosophies, connection, energy, healing. So this is an example of what it is. And we're at the seed point now. These are the early stages. This is it for the seed point for this. The bifurcation energetic template occurred on the winter solstice, the December solstice. Wouldn't be winter if you're in the other part of the world, but the solstice in December, the 21st of December 2020, was when the bifurcation energy was created, and we're in that holding space. So the seeds began then, but March, as we approach the March equinox, there's a spike, and these are no longer seeds anymore. These are like the first presentations. And that flyer that I was sent on Telegram of the festival where Maxine isn't invited is this new earth. It is one of the presentations. It's not a seed, it's a presentation. And in the UK, something else is happening, and I do see this elsewhere as well, but it's much stronger in the UK at the moment. And I think that's because the UK is kind of like going along quite far with this. And what this is a legal thing. It's a legal loophole or legal presentation, or some kind of legality which covers these individuals that don't invite Maxine, and they don't carry Maxine's purse with all Maxine's photographs and paperwork inside. But this legality is like an umbrella for them. It's a protection for them. This legality at the moment is in the process. It is not created yet. You can't find the legality yet, but you could potentially find the process of it. Now, the 9 have said, when it comes to things that I speak about and things that I'm shown, they've said to me that you are speaking to those who are hungry for information, for they are the individuals within New Earth, the individuals who are moving through activation. And yet others who are not of that vibration are also coming into the sphere of my information and listening to it. And that would be individuals that are in the structure that is a service to self structure rather than a service to others structure. So I can only speak in a way that is vague, if you will. There cannot be any actuals because of the mixed audience that are listening. So as much as being given information-wise to those individuals that can be, but there are certain things that can't be said. And they've said that this will be the case with anyone who is delivering information that is potentially going to be followed or listened to. So information about the WNO agenda can be given because that's not anything that they don't know because they're creating it. So that can be given. But New Earth is to be sheltered and to be protected and to be contained. So only the periphery of vagueness can be given. Within that periphery of vagueness, the way that the nine speak to me and speak through me is coded. It is a light encoded, so it is photonic light encoded. Those in that STS structure cannot code that. They can see light, but they cannot code it. They don't have the facilities within the organic technology, within their pineal gland and other glands system to decode that. The starseeds, the truthers, the aware ones, the activated ones, the indigos, all of those individuals in that system, in that organic system, they can decode the light encoded presentations that come through me speaking with the nine with me, if you will, as if the nine were within me and are me and are merged with me. When that merge happens, the coding that is photonic light takes place and passes from my pineal gland and the other glandular system that's part of this to you. So the vagueness and on the periphery is okay because it presents the codes. And what will happen is you will go away. Now, what is Magenta Pixie talking about? She's gone nuts. She's like not making any sense whatsoever. And then you'll go away and this will come to you as the light encodement works, and it will come up and like, what does this mean? This has happened. I watched Magenta's video and now this has happened. That's how it works. That's how it's transferred. It has to be this way. Now I can do something a little bit more grounded over on alternative platforms. But if I'm going to use this platform, then we're looking at two different forms of coding. One is STS eyes, looking and listening, and the other is the platform itself. So as you know, when I speak, we are talking about a novel, we are talking about a fictional novel, just to, make that clear. It's a fictional novel that's very abstract, very surreal, and it doesn't make sense for a reason. So putting that out there to explain. So one of the most important things to remember here, to be aware of, is that old Earth will look new. New Earth will look old. Generally, not completely, because there are some new buildings, new places in old Earth. But on a general level, old Earth will look new because of the technological advancement, the Big Brother surveillance, and chips and science fiction type presentations and materials within this transhumanism kind of thing going on, threading through, is global and beyond this Earth. So it's difficult to really encapsulate it in its fullness because it presents in a myriad of ways. But it will look new because it is new physically. but the energetic of it is a simulated future created from an old Earth paradigm with the intention of holding on to the old Earth paradigm. It's a hijacking of New Earth. It's like, well, I see this organic Earth, I see this harmony and beauty and telepathy and superpowers that humanity are going to evolve as they activate the DNA. No, we don't want that from the STS perspective. We'll hijack that. So old Earth will look new because it holds enticing gadgets and toys and other things. It's like, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this, but you must bring Maxine, you must bring Maxine's purse and Maxine's photographs and paperwork, and you can have all this. Well done, well done. You click in and clock in and clock off and use your technology and swipe it here and swipe it there, and you have this, it's yours. And the people there are like, yay, great, this is great. And then they look over here and think, what's wrong with you lot? Why don't you want Maxine to come with you? Why won't you carry Maxine's purse, Maxine's handbag, when you can have all this? And it's like, you are perpetuating the old ways, because they'll think that this is the new. This is the new normal. This is the new. And they're fine with it because all is well and nothing's gone wrong, because we obviously have a media wall around this that shows everything is good and everything is fine. These people here in New Earth, they are immune from the media wall. So they jump over the wall and think, oh gosh, this is the real news. This is alternative news, and this is psychic presentation, and this is knowing and working with our own intelligence and connecting the dots. So these individuals are immune from the media wall. So they find a truth that is in alignment with organic reality, which is New Earth. And it will look old because it isn't using the enticement. You find it naturally, and it's available now. You will find that you will go out into your community, whether you're on a downlock or not, and miraculously you just meet someone who is in resonance to you, whether you've ever met them before, or whether they're someone you know and haven't seen for years, or whether they're someone you know and see a lot. You're meeting through this synchronistic web. And when you meet, it isn't just about conversation. Oh, hi, how are you? What are you up to? What have you been doing? That's all part of it. But there's a creation that takes place with these meetings. I'm doing this and I'm thinking of doing that, and I'm going to create this, this, and this. And then this person will say, how strange, because I'm creating this and this. And then you see how these things fit together. So we have this huge innovation, this collaboration, because New Earth is a consciousness. It is a collective consciousness of joy. It is a collective consciousness of the heart. And everyone there are in such bliss. They're so happy. They're like, this is amazing. This is freedom. This is the difference. And this is what I was shown as I came out of the dream and woke up. And the words came to me. I was told, old Earth will look new. New Earth will look old. Old Earth that looks new will be a false freedom, but it's really a prison. It's really a trapping system. And it's more of a trapping system than we've ever had on this planet. New Earth, which looks old, looks like, it doesn't look like a trap to those people who are in the old Earth, but it looks like a very unwanted, unsafe, unknown reality, and it looks crazy. But to the people in it, they are in alignment with true liberty and true freedom. So that's true freedom. That's where true freedom is found. True freedom is created. So the people in New Earth are free. Not only are they free, they are for the first time since Atlantis, connecting with one another, because the like-minded souls have been kept apart. Obviously, there have been connections since Atlantis throughout Earth's evolution and history, but never in the grand way that New Earth will present, because it is a grouping together. It is an awakening of the great variety, and there are many phrases now that have been hijacked that are being looked at, so one can't necessarily say all these things. So it's an awakening of the great variety, real in a tangible physical sense, living alongside. Now, the other thing that I was shown is New Earth cannot be in one place. It may be that one place, like this festival, has a large amount of people and is a gathering, but there wouldn't be, it's not a two world split. And this is the manifestation of the two world split, which has occurred within the higher dimensional realms for many, many years, and has come into our awareness since 2012 big time, and now manifests as this bifurcation. It's not that there is 50% of the planet and, you know, cut the planet down the middle, and this side of the planet is you know, old Earth with their new technological advancements, trapping system that they think they're free, and new Earth that looks old, and everyone over here thinks they're really crazy and silly, but that's real freedom, and that's over here. It's not geographical, is what I'm trying to say. The reason for that is STS forces could maneuver something that could, like if you were going fishing and you had a big net and you wanted to catch lots of fish, it's a good idea for all the fish to be in the same sea, and then the net can swoop down and catch loads and loads of fish all at the same time, instead of just getting 2 or 3 fish. So instead of letting the fish swim throughout the ocean, then you create like a reservoir to breed your fish farming, and then you can get your net and catch them all together. It's that. So universal galactic intelligence and higher consciousness from the light is not going to place their babies that they are utilizing as conduits for their light. They're not going to place those conduits all together in one geographical place so that the net can swipe them all. They will be spread out across the global reality, across the planet. So old Earth and new Earth are intertwined. They're in the same place, but they're 2 different networks. Now, old Earth can see new Earth, but can't perceive it. They think it's crazy, it's mad, it's nuts, it's old-fashioned, it's, I believe, one word used by someone in the political system was Neanderthal. It's that kind of thinking. It's the perception of new Earth as, get with the times. What are you doing? You know, you're holding our planet back. That's what they will see. So allowances need to be made for that paradigm when you come into contact with someone. And it may be that you are living in a house and you're in new Earth, and the other people in your house are in old Earth, and you are passing in the kitchen. So this is new Earth and old Earth. It's not 2 different places, 2 different planets. These are not just metaphors, though. They are prefabric presentations, and they are galactic presentations. Everything filters down from source in different stages of metaphor. So in the non-physical, in the non-temporal, in the space of pre-matter and creation and idea, it's real. We see it as metaphor because we're physical, but it's real, and it's galactically real in the formation of galaxies and planetary systems. But that would be within a quantum galactic reality. That's why there literally are 2 Earths and 3 Earths and multiple Earths within the quantum galaxy. All of this is filtering down into this planet, which has been 3rd dimensional. But when you look at the old Earth, new Earth scenario, the 3D, 5D scenario, you have two different dimensions. And that again is a presentation of two Earths, because old Earth is 3D, new Earth is 5D. The fourth dimension is the bridge between the two. So those in this old Earth will look over at new Earth and think, you know, you're all crazy, you're all holding this planet back. You are preventing evolution. That's how, not all of them, but many of them will see this. Those over in new Earth, and there are some in new Earth that won't realize this. They won't understand the bifurcation. They will just know that they are different, but they won't necessarily understand that this is a network of consciousness. And so they will look at these people and think, no, you are holding back Earth's evolution. They're right, they're correct, but they won't necessarily see the picture of both of these realities. But there are a lot of people in New Earth that will, and they will see this, and they will find videos like this and others, other people speaking about this in their various different ways, because there are a multitude of ways that you can perceive this model of reality that's manifesting on Earth. There are others out there teaching, and they may not necessarily use the same words as me. So this entire dream experience showed me what we're going into. We had a seed point in December the 21st, and we're now coming to the next sort of high intensity of this, which is the March equinox. And that shows the first manifestations of New Earth globally. This isn't just the UK and the US. As I said, I work with the UK and the US because I live in the UK, and the US is the central point. And it is slightly different. Now, if you look at the US, if you see the way the US are going to manifest old Earth and new Earth, as I said, it starts off in states because of the paradigms and consciousnesses within the governors of those states. But this whole network that I've explained as the presentation of the UK is going on in the states. Like each state is like a country because it has a different law. And that will start to occur, and people have the option in the US to move and locate to different places. So you will see lots of people moving everywhere, really. I mean, there'll be people leaving countries and trying to sort of find an environment that aligns with them. But those within New Earth that are sort of in alignment with the vibration may find they don't need to move anywhere. They've already done all their moving. They did all that sort of 10 years ago. Most people in New Earth will have relocated at some point somewhere to be more in alignment with what they need for the job that they're here to do, for the mission they're here to live. So will individuals leave old Earth and move to New Earth? Yes, absolutely. So the next sort of question that I know would be asked about this is, what about Maxine? Because obviously, if you've been living in old Earth, you will have had Maxine with you, you will have taken her places with you, you will have had tea with Maxine, and you will be carrying Maxine's handbag or purse with her photographs and paperwork. So those people that have had Maxine over to visit, how can they move from old Earth to new Earth and align with the energy? And this is where it gets so complex. And I've been talking to the Nine about this most of the morning, actually, most of the day, because after the dream, what I was seeing was difficult for me to understand, as I am fully aware that those who have the Maxine that works on the genetics are in a situation where that cannot be resolved. It stays in the way that Maxine would like it to. And so it can't be resolved, which cuts off an ascension cycle. So those individuals can't go through the ascension cycle this time. The thing is, though, there's so many caveats to this, and it is so complex and so deep, and you just can't understand it through 3D thinking. There are those in New Earth who are absolutely in the new earth energy. They haven't necessarily anchored multidimensional paradigms. So they don't hold multidimensional consciousness, but what they do hold is multidimensional concepts. And what they're doing is that they are trying to understand and evaluate multidimensional concepts through a linear sense. They won't just be 3D, but they are using a sort of a linear 3D, 4D paradigm to analyze and understand a 5D concept. Maxine, even though Maxine herself is 3D, of course she is, and of the lowest 3D vibration that you can get. Maxine, the reasons around Maxine, the reasons for Maxine and the manifestations of Maxine and the reactions to Maxine and the social setup because of Maxine, which is the most important. These are multidimensional 5D concepts, so it is difficult to get your head around this. It's impossible to say, if you have Maxine for T, you can't do this, this, or this. If you have this Maxine that's genetic, then you're doomed. If you have this Maxine that's not genetic, you can detox. It depends on the person and the state they were in when they took Maxine. There's no one size fits all regarding Maxine, because Maxine as a consciousness, and Maxine is a consciousness, she will have a different relationship with each person that she connects with. So it's difficult to understand this because Maxine herself, when she's not with any people and she's on her own, sitting in a laboratory, Maxine holds the intention and code. Let's talk about the genetic one only, first of all. The genetic Maxine holds the code and intention to cut off the connection between the human self and the spiritual self. No Kundalini, no activation, no quantum memory, no ascension, no DNA activation, no photonic light, no diamond light matrix, and all of those things, the light body, photonic light coming through the cells, it blocks it. That's the intention in the laboratory, when Maxine is sitting in a laboratory, that's the intention. But then when Maxine goes out into the world and meets people and sort of shakes hands with them, there's a different reaction depending on the person she's shook hands with. So if she shakes hands with somebody who's not activated in any way, absolutely the intention that Maxine held in the laboratory will take place within that person that she's shaken hands with. So these people are likely to remain in old earth. They won't understand new earth, even if they do step into new earth on the periphery. And some of them may step into new earth on the periphery and become ambassadors for the next ascension cycle, meaning in 26,000 years, there will be another chance for ascension. And that's on a linear time scale. It's not that case when it's not linear. They will be those that are the leaders of the movement in the next ascension cycle, because they have come onto the periphery, but they did cut off the chance for ascension in this cycle because they did shake hands with Maxine before they were activated. So what happens when Maxine shakes hands with someone who's activated? Okay. The majority of individuals who are activated will not shake hands with Maxine. They don't know Maxine. They probably won't meet Maxine. They'll probably know people who have met Maxine. Maxine may come over to tea in their house, but they'll go in another room. They won't connect with Maxine. They won't align with Maxine. They won't line up with Maxine. These people who are quite far along in the light body, high light quotient, and have manifested a awareness of that light body activation, just simply won't align with Maxine at all in any way. Some of them may be delivering information about Maxine, like I am, as I speak to the 9 and pick up these imprints, but that's my mission. But I personally won't align with Maxine in a physical sense. I'm not going to shake hands with Maxine or have her over to tea, but I can see Maxine and understand her because that's my mission to do so in a spiritual sense, not a biological sense. That's not me. I'm absolutely not an expert whatsoever in a biological sense. And so if you wanted to know more chemical information about Maxine, then you would go and listen to others, certain doctors out there, New Earth doctors. Go find the New Earth doctors. They're all out there. So in a spiritual sense, in an energetic sense, looking at the social structure as a response to Maxine and a result of Maxine, that's where I can sort of see specifically for the starseeds and the truthers and the aware individuals. We do have another smaller group. It's less, but it's still a significant group as it is. And these are individuals who are activated and awake, have activated the quantum light. They are in a situation where they are activated, and they are in quite far into, not far in, but they're in the light body. They've moved beyond 3D. They're in the light body. They're working with synchronicity. They're fully connected to source energy, working with the alignments and messages within reality. But for one reason or another, whether it's the awareness has not come regarding Maxine, maybe the awareness is there with other things but hasn't come with Maxine, or maybe they're one of the individuals that are showing others that it's possible to take Maxine and still evolve. These individuals will shake hands with Maxine and they will still be able to cross to New Earth. And it's possible that they can go through an ascension process. It wouldn't be Stargate ascension, as in riding their own dragon through the Stargate, but it is possible that some of these individuals could ascend, and what they will do, the genetic programming coming in from the synthetic, they will be able to partially rewrite the genetics over that. These are a small, rare group, and I was dubious about talking about this, and I've been talking to the 9 about this for all day, and it's a difficult one because you mustn't think to yourself, I don't want to say you mustn't because you can't tell someone what they can and can't do, but it's important for people to take this in its multidimensionality and not literally. Because if you start to think, oh, great, Magenta said, if you shake hands with Maxine, it's fine, you can detox, you can override your genetic code, and you can still ascend. Great, we'll go and get Maxine then, it doesn't matter. If you do that with that mindset itself will not allow you to activate. I am talking about individuals who were not aware of Maxine. They have awareness in other areas, synchronicity, love, manifestation. They're newly awakened, if you will, or have been awakened for a while. They have an open heart. They're good, kind people. The universal energetic would not want to leave these people behind. They didn't know about Maxine. They took Maxine not realizing. The majority of those in light, in activation, will not line up with Maxine. But there are a few that do shake hands with Maxine through one reason or another without having awareness at the level that some of the people in New Earth have got. And some of those people in New Earth haven't got so much light quotient as these people have. Light quotient doesn't equate to processing of realization. Light quotient is energetic. It brings you into the joy and the bliss of the universe. It brings you into galactic awareness, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be given information on every single subject. This is a journey to full awakening, and you're not omnipresent with everything. So there are these individuals that have the Maxine, that shake hands with Maxine, the genetic Maxine, and they are able to rewrite. Now, these individuals would be extremely healthy, no health issues whatsoever, fantastic diet, really good fit level of fitness, and they are in the minority. So if you're listening to this, my advice is to all of you, don't shake hands with Maxine. Don't have her over to tea. She is a consciousness, so love her. You know, she's here as a catalyst. She's a huge catalyst, and she is also the manifestation of the bifurcation, because she's presenting choice and free will to individuals. And those that shake hands with Maxine go to old Earth, and those that do not go to new Earth, more or less. Again, that's a generalization. So as I've said, there's this minority, and I'm talking about the genetic Maxine, there is a minority. So it's not an absolute. It's not there's no way you will ever ascend if you shake hands with Maxine that's genetic. You are done for. Nothing is ever that. Nothing is ever that in this universal structure. People have asked me these questions, and I've responded in the best way that I can on a forum. But it takes a video to explain the depths of this, because it's a myriad of different experiences. There's so many different perspectives here. So it's never an absolute, but it's a rare individual that can do this. And I don't want to share this information and have you go away and think, great, I can shake hands with Maxine, that's no problem. And then next week I will ascend because Magenta Pixie said so. Actually, no. My advice to everyone listening is don't shake hands with Maxine. What I'm saying is that there are a small few group of individuals who were already activated when they shook hands with Maxine. Therefore, they already have a level of photonic light within the system. They therefore have the tools to rewrite the genetic code. It's going to be a huge commitment for them, an absolute dedication, and they are rare. The other form of Maxine, which is not genetic, which is more like Maxine, more like the traditional Maxine, they do not have a genetic component. This is more about detoxification. Yes, they can be absolutely detoxed from. So it's easier for the individuals who've decided to shake hands with that version of Maxine. It's easier for those individuals to pass from old Earth to new Earth and move through ascension. However, again, this would be dedication, commitment, high level of health, very high level of fitness, and a willingness to begin to awaken, because that version of Maxine will create blocks within awakening, but does not prevent awakening in the way that the other version of Maxine does. So you've got people out there saying you won't ascend, you cannot change Maxine once you've shaken hands with Maxine. That's it. They're right. They're not lying. They're not saying something wrong. They're correct, because when you look at the perspectives here, there is truth to that, because there are many people that won't be able to. There are many people, once they've shaken hands with Maxine, they cannot, because of the genetic makeup, the health, the level of health, the level of awareness, the level of light. That's correct. There are other people who are saying you can detox, you can move through this, through your thoughts, through your beliefs. That sounds woo-woo and fluffy bunny. And it's like, for goodness sake, tell people the truth. We all know that if you shake hands with Maxine, that's it. And these people are saying, oh yeah, you can detox and you know, just sit in meditation. But there's truth there as well, because if you look at these individuals, some of these individuals can, depending on the makeup and the level of light. So there's a truth there, but it's not to be taken linearly. None of these things are absolute. Maxine is 3D, Maxine is linear, but everything that surrounds Maxine is not. Everything that surrounds Maxine is multidimensional. So you cannot decode this in a 3D sense. And I know that there are people who listen to me and they listen to my videos and they do go away and come up with a 3D response, and then they'll write to me and say, Magenta, you said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't say that. So, but then I can't not speak to the people who can think multidimensionally, who can catch those activations. And to be honest with you, whilst I want to reach as many people as I possibly can when I make these videos, I absolutely do. I want to reach everyone. These videos are really for the awakened starseeds, the activated individuals, those who do think multidimensionally. So what I am doing here with this video is presenting to you how things will begin to look energetically with the new Earth, old Earth, 3D, 5D presentation, and how to navigate through this. If you're understanding what I'm saying and you're following everything I'm saying, you're in new Earth already, you're there, and that's great. For those who are following on somewhat and are a little bit puzzled to certain things I'm saying, that's okay, because you will catch those codes and you will go away and process all this, and it will come through you in your own unique way and lead you into new Earth. So I think it's important really to not, if we can, not have judgment from 5D to 3D, from new Earth to old Earth. They will have judgment of us. Don't forget, that's a controlled hijacked system. That is a prison trapping system. We're talking about the novel here. We're talking about the new novel, the new chapter. They will have judgment of us because they can't see what that is. They look at new Earth and they're like, what is that? You're crazy. I don't see what that is. But those in new Earth do have the capabilities to understand those in old Earth and to not judge, and to sort of navigate through and dodge many of these old Earth trapping systems. New Earth gives you a protection and this legal thing. And this is the thing I can't talk about, because this is the thing that the STS groups will be latching onto. So I'm as vague can be. This legal thing, which is in the UK, which hasn't occurred yet, and I can't say where it's coming from, who it's coming from, how it's coming. It's a legal thing, and that's as far as I can say. That gives an umbrella to New Earth in the UK. And then when I look at the US, it's not so umbrella-like, because this is right across the UK New Earth. This is more state by state and is slightly different and tweaked a little bit, but it's a similar sort of thing, bringing umbrellas over the states. It's all to do with where the laws are, and where with the UK it's a government, and and then obviously you've got England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and they've got their own little umbrellas. And then over in the US it's a state by state thing through the governors. That system in the US is changing anyway, and when that changes, this will filter through. The new Earth system is where the changes take place, and the changes will take place because the old system is the old system. And this is the next bit, and probably the most important bit. Are old Earth and new Earth going to sit alongside each other forever? Are we in a bifurcation forever? Are we constantly transhumanism, old Earth trapping system, and freedom breakaway society, hiding in these sort of dark corner, meeting up in a little sort of hall or something, or however that manifests? Is that forever? And the answer is absolutely not. This is a two-way movement for a while. I have said this before. I don't know how long. A while. And the reason why I don't know how long is because those in New Earth have already broken out of it. So you don't have to wait 4 years or 10 years or 30 years to find New Earth, because it's here now. So there's no destination, and no one can say when old Earth will collapse, because a bit of old Earth will collapse, but a bit will carry on, and then another bit will collapse, and and it'll carry on. And then this bit will be exposed and everyone's like, oh my goodness, and that will sort of implode on itself, and then it's going to carry on, and then another bit will collapse, and then it's going to carry on. Do you see how it's working? It's not going to be that you wake up on such and such a day, oh my goodness, old Earth is gone, it's collapsed. It collapsed last night. We've all ascended. No, that's not it. That is not how it's going to be. This takes time. So what I can say to you is old Earth is here now. Sorry, new Earth is here now. It can be found now. It's in its early stages. It's not abundant, and there's a reason for that. Those creating old Earth are aware of new Earth. They might not call it that. They would call it something like dissidence or anti or brigade or lobby, or, you know, these people who are against this, those that are against the agenda. But it's new Earth, and that's already being attacked within the novel. So we're going to have attacks from that media wall. The media wall isn't just protecting old Earth and keeping it, keeping all the people within old Earth within the paradigm. That media wall is, you know, trying to prevent and target new Earth from flourishing. So we're in the early stages. But new Earth starts to become more abundant in a inconspicuous way, in a way that is in disguise. And this is another thing. You might enter a domain, be it a building or wherever it may be it a structure, a place, wherever, and you might think, gosh, is this old Earth or new Earth? Because there might be a similarity and an overlap. It might be that a building has new Earth in one room and old Earth in another. You have to be in alignment with the energetics here, and you will know. You will know. So new Earth is there now. So for the people who are saying, when is this going to happen? It's happened now. New Earth 5D is in the future. The future has been brought to us now. 5D has been brought to us now. So we don't need to wait for anything. It's here right now, today, whether you are in a downlock or not. New Earth is there, and you will find it if you line up with it. And when you have the knowing of that, what's happening in the system in 3D doesn't make any difference to this organic structure. Now, when it comes to the collapse of old Earth, that's happening now too. It isn't tangible. The media wall is showing something very different, but old Earth is collapsing now. A little bit, little bits, little bits, little bits. And then there'll be more, and then there'll be more. So there's no date where that's the collapse. But there are significant spikes in energies, and those spikes in energies raise up the light galactically and planetarily and photonically. So as you have this galactic light sort of spike, or let's say beam, if you will, that light beam occurs within the DNA of everyone in New Earth, all the activated ones. That spikes up as well. So that spike within everyone in New Earth that's matching the galactic spike of photonic light, these light codes that are coming into the galaxy, coming into the planet, and coming into our own DNA fields, that is a creative energy. And so as those in New Earth move together within this collective consciousness of joy, of bliss, that creates, and these new innovations spring up, and New Earth flourishes. That happens at these times, and those that created old Earth, the STS groups, are aware of these times, so they do everything they can to bring down the high vibration of the individuals within New Earth. They can't touch the New Earth individuals who are anchored and flowing in that energy, but they can target those in old Earth and aim for old Earth to be brought down so much that it sort of prevents manifestation, because that photonic light is pre-matter fabric, and it's the key to manifestation. So they're manifesting one thing, and New Earth is organically manifesting another thing. So was there anything else I needed to say? Dream last night, Maxine. The nines say there'll always be a back door. They've said that many, many times, and that is, you know, really a great sort of slogan for New Earth within the chapter of this novel. Always be a back door. There will always be a back door. Wherever there's a block, like you can't do this, you can't do that, or it's more like you won't be able to do this, this, or this. If you don't do this and shake hands with Maxine or do that, then you can't do this, this, or this. And obviously we've got the smaller Maxine that's not a Maxine. It's more like a test or, you know, some kind of test, that sort of thing. That's small Maxine. That can be brought in a little bit here to create loopholes in potential legalities, where a business could say, well, you either have to shake hands with big Maxine or little Maxine and show me the handbag or the purse full of the paperwork of little Maxine, and then you can come in. This sort of testing kind of thing going on there within the chapter of that novel. That in itself is you know, sort of a partial part of it. And there may be some people in New Earth who think, well, all right, we'll go along with that. You know, that is a harvest. That is a harvest. There is wheat or crops within your DNA. And what you do there within little Maxine is a harvest for the structures within you, the cellular structures, and that can be put into technology, and it can be completely read. So basically, every person who meets up with little Maxine, their entire self can be read. I don't mean read the color, R-E-D, I mean read as in R-E-A-D. It can be read, it can be looked at, it can be understood, and it can be there can be plans for alterations. So you know, you decide in New Earth whether you want to shake hands with little Maxine or not, but that's a separate issue. A lot of people were worried about flying, being able to spread their wings and fly, because obviously this is a fantasy novel and there are flying unicorns. These flying unicorns come in and they pick you up and they take you from one country to another country in the novel. And these flying unicorns, a lot of them will say, I shouldn't use unicorns because they would never do that. All right, flying horses. Let's go for Pegasus, the flying horse. So these flying horses come flying in and they pick you up and they take you from one country to another. But the people who will look after the horses will say, you need to have shaken hands with Maxine or you can't get on this horse. And there's a possibility of at least one horse not doing that. At least one horse saying you don't need to have shaken hands with Maxine. There may be more than one horse, and there may be legalities and stuff going on in that sort of flying horses thing, legalities and big blocks to the WNO. You know, there's an uprising of white hat legalities all there. You know, so I mean, the whole Maxine's handbag, Maxine's purse, and all the paperwork, huge when it comes to legalities, white hat legalities against the WNO agenda within the chapter of this novel. That's huge. I mean, you are going to hear so much about Maxine's handbag and Maxine's purse over the coming months. It's huge, and it's how this develops will be most interesting, but it's chaotic. It's a trap, but it's also a catalyst for freedom at the same time. So when it comes to the flying horses that will take you from one country to another in the novel, there will be at least one, maybe not in every single country, but don't think to yourself, I need to get on a horse and I need to fly from this country to that country, so I've got no choice but to shake hands with Maxine. I've had people say to me, look, I have to shake hands with Maxine. I've got no choice. There's no point in me even knowing what Maxine is or what she's like, what she does, what she wears, you know, what her thoughts are, what sort of food she eats, what sort of chemicals are in her body. I don't need to know any of that because I have to shake hands with Maxine. I've got no choice. I would say to those people, yes, you do have a choice. There's always a choice. There's always a back door. You are not trapped. I know it seems like forced by the back door. It seems like mandatory by the back door. Absolutely. That's the old Earth agenda. That's the WNO agenda. But you have a choice of navigation. But what will prevent you from making the choice is fear. Because you think, well, I'm here in A. I want to stay in A. I can't leave letter A. So therefore I must shake hands with Maxine in order to stay in letter A. However, your choice is that you actually don't shake hands with Maxine and you move to letter B. But moving to letter B is causing fear. It's like, oh gosh, I can't move to letter B. That's too much. That's huge. I don't know what will happen. If I did that, then I could lose this and this and this. And I don't want to leave A. I love being in A. So you make the choice to shake hands with Maxine. But there is a choice. You're not in a situation where you don't have a choice. You can choose to go to B. And what you need to be able to make the choice is knowing. I would say faith, I would say trust, and I would say hope. All of those things are part of it. But faith, trust, and hope lead to knowing. And when you take faith and you take hope and you take trust and you mingle them up together and put them inside your heart, and you have knowing, I'm going to move to B. I don't know what B is going to look like. I don't know what B will be. I don't know how it's going to be with me or how I'll get on with it, but I'm going to have trust, hope, and faith. And you don't shake hands with Maxine and you take the leap of faith into something new. That's New Earth paradigm. That's New Earth energy. Leaps of faith are taken by people in New Earth all the time. People in Old Earth are stuck with fear surrounding them and aren't able to make that leap. I'm not saying all of them, some will, and there is a situation further down the line where individuals have shaken hands with Maxine and they regret that, and they do want to make changes. And those in New Earth that are in a healing, holistic capacity, they will be helping lots and lots of people in that scenario. And those people they may not be able to shine light on the genetic code and alter it in order to move into ascension, but they will be able to find a survival through healing and through a holistic plan. So, as I said, there's multiple things going on, and there's lots of help from New Earth individuals to Old Earth individuals. There will be local New Earth ambassadors. Oh, yeah, that's right. So there will be individuals, and I actually met someone the other day, and she told me what she was doing and what she felt she was doing. And I thought, oh, right. And when I came home, I was told she's a New Earth ambassador. So what these individuals are is they're not necessarily drawn too much to cyber world. They don't necessarily have websites or be on social media or be sitting, recording a video like me. They are community creators of New Earth. They'll be ambassadors for the New Earth. And what they will be doing is creating real-time, literal New Earth presentations, which may be presented in all sorts of ways without wanting to give away to STS what this actually is. But, I was shown the flyer of a festival. That would be classed as a community New Earth venture. Anything that's real, anything you can go out of your front door to and walk to and visit, wherever it may be, there are New Earth ambassadors that are responsible for creating that. These New Earth ambassadors will be invisible to the STS scouts. They'll be looking for them. Right, which one of you people are creating these gatherings or whatever they may be? They won't be able to find them and they won't be able to see them because they're invisible. And a lot of New Earth is invisible. There's a huge cloak, the purple cloak of invisibility, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D creation that holds invisibility. So there's a lot of protection in New Earth. I mean, it flourishes. And anyone from STS listening, there is nothing you can do to stop this. Nothing. It's done. So these individuals will be local. And if you want to meet a New Earth ambassador, ask. If you are with a pure heart and not a scout or someone working for this media wall, but if you are of open-hearted purity, ask to meet a New Earth ambassador in the novel and in the film, in the screenplay of the film. Ask to meet a New Earth ambassador, and you will, if you are of pure heart. I mean, I met one and I didn't even know they existed, and I didn't even know, I wasn't planning on meeting this person. This person came into my reality out of pure coincidence, which of course we know is synchronicity. She literally walked around the corner and said, "Oh, Magenta." I'm like, "Oh, hi." So it was that kind of thing. And I discovered that she was a New Earth ambassador. So that's the only thing I think I've left out when it comes to my notes. So eventually, old Earth, bit by bit, little by little, and some of these crash downs and collapses within New Earth will be huge. Eventually, old Earth does collapse. It does not sustain. It's unsustainable. And when that collapses, New Earth will be established. New Earth will show itself, and that will be the fifth dimensional Earth. That will be our planet, well, higher fourth and fifth dimension. And where does the person who likes bananas and who eats lots of bananas, where does this person come in? Well, this person is a New Earth inhabitant and will be significant in the creation of New Earth. That is something that is protected and is shrouded within mystery for a very good reason. All I can say is energetically, all is good for those in New Earth. There'll be, banana celebrations going on, and people will start to use tea tree oil in their massages in New Earth. So no dates given there or times given there, because I'm not even given them myself. I only see very, very, very vague energies because of the protection. So not a lot I can really say other than it's good. And yes, it's there. Yes, you're going to be using tea tree oil, and yes, you are going to be eating bananas. Definitely. So the only times and dates that I would give are these high spikes. So we're looking at the equinox in March, the whole of March actually, high vibration, April high vibration, May high vibration. Summer looks good. There's a couple of darker spikes in the sort of early summer, and this is to do with the hijacking of the old Earth and the bringing down of the individuals in old Earth, because they are obviously their emotions are invested in the false narrative. So there's a couple of that going on, and that's sort of UK. Looking at the US, it's more complicated because you have all these different states. So it's going to look a little bit like a real split, like a civil thing, like something that's civil. But it's not going to be like that. And every hijacking coming in from this STS group is being exposed one way or another, even if it takes a long time. At the moment, it's getting quicker. So a hijacking event created by STS would take a while to become exposed a few years ago. And then as we get closer to sort of, 2012, things were getting exposed more. Now we're in a situation where the hijackings and the flags that are being, put up in a false presentation, they're being exposed very, very quickly. So falsehoods are showing themselves quite quickly. And we have this media wall that is beginning to crack and beginning to break. And we have, obviously, the new media, which is, getting closer to this media wall. And there are individuals within the media wall that are of New Earth, and they've been placed there for many years, in place for the time when they will know when the time is right to begin to bring the media wall down. That sort of doesn't happen just yet. The seeds of that, the seeds are planted. There's not many. That's a little bit further down, but there's all this other stuff going on. So I know that this video has been coded and vague, and it's not just STS groups either. There are individuals that that believe that coding in this way is related to something to do with the alphabet, and you know, they have 17 thoughts about this, and so they take my material and they will present it in its uncoded form and liken me to the 17 thoughts they have in their head, which it is not really something that I have stood for or particularly upheld in any strong way. I've been asked questions about it, and therefore have responded, and the 9 have responded, and you know, you know how I feel. I mean, if you are in New Earth and you are looking at the whole sort of plan from the beginning till the future as to how things will go, then information was given in that way, and you know, that's not a falsehood. The only falsehoods in there were necessary. That's all known. There are others that have the mission for that. It was never my mission, but there are individuals that are decoding and that are sort of, you know, reading my novel and are trying to pull the fiction out of it. So I'm, you know, being as vague as I can with this novel, because obviously I don't want people to, you know, go and publish this novel elsewhere until I've published it myself. So it's, you know, I'm just preserving the manuscript, really. So I hope you've understood. I don't want to have to keep speaking to you through alternative platforms. Obviously, some have to be that way, but it is nice to be able to come on the sort of the main platform and talk. And so, you know, I am a novelist, I am a writer, I'm writing a fictional novel. We're looking at a novel, a series of novels, we're looking at a screenplay, films, lots of characters, and, you know, it's fiction, it's all fiction. Everything I've said today is fiction, as you know. And so that's it, really. As you can tell, my throat's a lot better. It's still not 100%, but it's so much better than it was. So I hope I'll be able to pick up the roundtables and interviews that I sort of cancelled in February. I hope I'll be able to be picking those up through March and April. I have to be careful not to do too many and then sort of send my voice back again. So I will... I'll come on here when things are important to be said. And I think, you know, within this presentation now, I know that, as I said, it's coded and vague, but there's a lot in there that I've picked up over the course of a few weeks that I've also sort of cross-referenced, if you like, with the dream that I had last night. But because the dream was so profound, I knew it was time. It's like today, you talk and you say what you've seen. So that's it. And thank you so much for listening. And I will just have a look, make sure this whole thing is recorded. Yes, it has. Yay. So yeah, I will be back with more at another stage. So thank you all for listening. I know this is a long one. Hope you've stuck with me, and if you have, that's great. Happy processing and bringing up your own codes. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back soon. Bye.